Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck Picture Book and Educational System. Well, we had a pretty great week last week talking about thinking for oneself. And before we move on to Z. Hereford's next item in her list of how to think for oneself, I thought that I'd just put the final touch on this first one. It's in thinking for yourself, you have to have self confidence. And I think that's one of the areas that we all tend to falter in. And so what I thought of was actually it's trusting your decisions. So we've all been in a place where we've second guessed ourselves, or we've had we feel not enough time to think about what our decision should be on a situation or an event. And we, even though we might have thoroughly reviewed what we think is the right thing to do, we might hesitate to take action because we're like overthinking or thinking around in circles about something. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we do look to those masters that I mentioned and our friends or family members that have our best interest at heart. So when we do that, we can actually review the information and our research and see what really resonates with us and make the best informed decision from that platform. So one one thing I thought of this morning too, as I was listening to a little talk in my morning meditation, um, I one person mentioned that sometimes we can have one or of two attitudes of mind when we do make the correct decision, and it's becoming prideful or self-confident. And of course, one is a better character trait to possess than the other. So I was thinking about that and making these good decisions. That the first pride capitalizes on what we've done ourselves, and our inner perfection is augmented and it's supported and grows. And we tend to forget about the people and the research that we relied on to get to that particular choice. Well, I think this is not the best way to go, even though it's great to have a good feeling about yourself and pumping yourself up. But the first way tends to overshadow the um, participation and the contribution that others have made to what we've come to as our decision. And I think we should always give others credit. That's a good thing to do. Instead of that, today's seems like today it's all about me and I'll take the glory. Well, I think in the best sense of self-confidence, everybody borrows from each other. And it's not plagiarism to a great extent unless we take something verbatim and stamp our name on it. But just like I'm relying on Z. Hereford to guide my talks, I could not have come up with, well, maybe I could have, with a long time to reflect on it. But she came up with some really key points. And I said, well, I'm going to give her credit and I'll, riff off of her points to the extent that it fits my channel. So another thing is our self-confidence grows from embarking on these struggles. And there's always going to be struggles in life. We're always going to have fears and mostly the fear of possibly making the wrong choice or decision. But when we're comparing our research, looking at what the expert said, as I said before, and for me, it comes down to the core ethics of what seems to resonate with my spirit. And then I in particular, pray over my decisions and then go with what seems to be best. But the whole thing comes down to making a choice. And the entire event in the process from our weak beginning to our strong finish is part of the process. And that's why I love to keep journals, because I have a problem and I'm mulling over and I write it out. And then I look back and I say, whoa, that was a problem. Because as you move on to new challenges and new situations that you're facing, you can forget about how much time it took to get to that point. So that's why journaling is really good. It keeps you keeps you humble. So we can imagine how our children and our students are going through these struggles. They don't have the wealth of experience that we have, and yet they're asked to make decisions every day. So that's why I believe if we continue to work with them and walking them through how did they come to this point, how did they feel in the beginning, what things helped them to succeed in coming to that conclusion and choosing the best choice, then we're giving them the strategy and the overview that they can use in their next challenge and their next hurdle. So I think that this constructing this plan of action and showing the children what they've actually done will build on their not pride but self-confidence to give their next challenge their best effort as well. Okay, so we'll talk with you next time about Z Herbert's next point. And please subscribe and please share. And I'll put her reference in my description box. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.